Sure.
All right, shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praise, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash.
Double honors unto the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. And salutations, much love unto Joachim out there on the four corners of the earth, pushing out his word into sincerity. And I'm blessed to be here with the brothers in Atlanta. And we're just going to go in the spirit, open forum. And, I want to hit on that. The brother just mentioned the law, vocab Malone was talking about that we somehow teach that you got to keep the law 100% or you're not going to make it. That's not what we teach. We teach that you should try to keep the law. If a brother can grab Romans 3:31 because that's what the scriptures say. All right. Yahweh said, if you're not keeping his law, then you don't love him, man. And we try our best. All right. We're here in the flesh. It's like scriptures say that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So we're going to try our best to walk in the steps, the footsteps, the examples that Yahweh set up for us so that we may please him, man. Because without faith, it is impossible to please the Most High. And if you're not showing your faith by works, then you're not pleasing the Lord. All right. Whoever got that.
This is Romans 3:31. Do we then make void the law through faith?
Mm-hmm. So what we have faith, but faith, it's more than just saying, I believe in the Lord. Oh, I have faith in the Lord. It's more than that. It's about action. Okay, showing the Lord that you have the faith. Go ahead.
It says, Most High forbid. Yea, we establish the law.
That's right. We establish the law, man. We tell people about the law so that in hopes that they can try to keep it, man. Mm-hmm. Like eating pork. That's simple, man. Mm-hmm. All right. Not committing adultery. Not stealing from your neighbor, man. Slandering. All these are simple things that you can keep, man. Mm-hmm. But what Jake or these other nations, these demons, they'll tell you otherwise, man. Mm-hmm. That the law is done away with. God so loved the world. The Lord didn't go up on the cross so that we could just be all out demons and do whatever we want, man. Mm-hmm. All right, and he was the greatest example, Yahweh. And if he was perfect, kept the laws, why wouldn't you try to keep the laws?
Right.
And obviously, like the scriptures say, some things are lawful but not expedient. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you getting, like vocab? He was saying, why aren't you getting 13-year-old girls? Because why would we? It's not a law to do it, but there's a law about it. It's about rape.
And another thing, man, 13-year-old girls are not attractive.
Yeah,
right.
They're like kids in today's age, man. In today's world, because the spirit of America, has put that energy on them. Now, when you go years back, a 12-year-old in the 1800s. Or 13, 14-year-old in the 1800s, they were way more mature than these overseas. They were way more mature than these girls nowadays, man. Right. So we're not even attracted to that type of shit, man.
Right. Like if you go back to going back to the like brother mentioned about the 1800s, going into Queen Victoria. Okay, I believe she was about maybe 13 or 14 years old. Mm-hmm. When she was to be married unto her husband at that time, and she was actually being set up to rule. But have that being done now in these days to a 13, 14-year-old woman, that's not feasible.
Right.
Okay, because the spirit is different, and of course through time and food, and it has it to where men and women mature different.
I honestly wouldn't even talk to a 21-year-old.
I was about to say, you think like 18? That's young, bro.
Yeah, 18 is young. Yeah, 18 is young.
Even though even though it's lawful, but at the end of the day, you can't. What you gonna do with a 21-year-old in America? But catch a headache. Mm-hmm. Now in the ancient world, you could get a 21-year-old and mold her and build her up. You can't build no 21-year-old up out here, man. Catch a headache. So what we teach is that keeping the law to the best of our ability is an indication of obedience.
That's it.
It's just an indication of obedience unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Yep. There are certain things that the law permits that we don't do, that we don't engage in. For instance, putting to death homosexuals. All right, another law that we don't fully do is we don't have battlements on our houses.
Right.
Which a battlement is an actual barrier that every a wall that you put on your roof to where nobody can fall off your house and die. Well, that's a law in the book of things in Exodus.
Yeah.
All right. So we don't have battlements on our houses. We don't have the frontlets, and the tassels and things of that. And some brothers do, but we just saying that for the most part, we try to keep the law to the best of our ability as an indication of obedience. But we're not under the law. No, you've never heard no brother in Great Millstone teach that we're under the law. Okay. Yep. You had more on that, bro?
Yeah. And this is real quick. To add this, Malachi 4:4. It says, "Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments."
It's a thing of remembrance, man. That's why we wear the border of blue, so we can remember the law, the commandments.
Yep.
So the Lord has these laws in place as a standard of remembrance, man. That's how we remembered ourselves.
Yeah.
When we heard the law, oh shit, I grow a beard, oh snap, yeah, I like living like that. It was a form of remembrance, which is why the Lord calls us what? To Zion or Zion, which is a monument.
Yeah.
What made us the monument of Yahweh Bashimah Shai? Because we kept the laws. It wasn't nothing else.
Yeah, right.
That's why the scripture tell you in Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. Oh, you was going to get it? Oh, hey, bring it out, bro.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 4, and I'll start at 5. "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither you go to possess it."
Right. So the Lord taught us commandments and statutes, man. All right. Before there was a such thing known as the Holy Spirit, we had technicalities of what we needed to do.
Written on stone.
Period, point blank.
Yeah.
And that was your access to being in the spirit, keeping the law. Okay. But the law didn't do good to the flesh.
Yeah.
It didn't do good. The law wasn't bad.
It says the law is spiritual, but carnal sold unto sin. That's what Paul spoke about.
That's why in Hebrews 8 it says that it's finding fault in them.
Yeah.
Because the fault was in the Israelites, because they couldn't keep it. It was impossible for them to keep the law 100%. So that's why Yahweh came and kept it 100%.
Right. So he could be that clause in the law.
It's a clause.
He's just the clause in the law. And so we keep the law to the best of our ability, but then we have Yahweh Shai that we can fall back on for measures of grace.
Right.
When we can't keep what he did, when we can't do the things that he did, we have him to say, Salaki, Yahweh Bashimah Shai, please forgive me for that transgression. And he'll cover those sins because he sees us trying to be obedient unto that law that he kept. Okay, so stop your vocab Malone. You just a implant, just a straight up reaching ass nigga, man. Go ahead, bro.
Deuteronomy 4:6. "Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations."
Right. So prior to the Holy Spirit being dispersed after Yahweh Shai, our wisdom in the sight of the nations was how we kept the law.
Right.
But then our wisdom in the sight of the nations after the Old Testament or the Old Covenant was transferred, our wisdom in the sight of the nations is what? The Holy Spirit.
Right. Yep.
So now the Holy Spirit manifested after Yahweh Shai realized that we wouldn't be able to keep the law 100%. So that's when the Holy Spirit manifested. Okay.
Let me just finish that. It says, "Which shall hear all these statutes." Well, let me read up again. It says, "Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people." All right. So that's how they equated us with being a wise and an understanding people, for how we carried ourselves according to the law. So now in these times, we try our best to keep the law to the best of our ability. And one of the things that we do, we grow a beard. We don't line ourselves up. We don't bald our heads. We don't commit adultery. We don't deal with homosexuality. We don't deal with, all kind of things that's against the law.
Yeah, idol worship.
Idol worship, like the brothers say. Making graven images, coveting brothers' property. you know, coveting brothers, women, dishonoring our parents. Okay, we don't do those things. All right, and this is just an indication of obedience to the Spirit. But ultimately, the Holy Spirit is over the law.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, because even you know, since he spoke about the law, we all understand without a shadow of a doubt that we can't fulfill the law. You know, but that where we fall short, that's where grace is involved. But it has always been to be observed and always to be kept to the best of your ability. There wasn't one man in the scriptures, from Genesis to Revelations, that didn't try to the best of their ability to keep the law. Right. You can't name a man that just blatantly ate pork. You know, even when Peter, which Peter was a successor of Yahushua after Yahushua's death, in Acts the 10th chapter, was it Acts the where the dream? Yep, the dream of Cornelius. Acts the 10th chapter, when Cornelius, when he received the vision of Cornelius, it was all kind of manner of unclean foods and beasts that was to be presented unto Cornelius. Unto Peter. And what did Peter say? He said he hasn't eaten things common nor unclean. But that was a representation of the embracement of keeping, actually, you know, basically him keeping the law. And it showed that he was basically anti-defilement. He was against corrupting this temple. Going back to what? The spirit of the law. And even in Revelation 21, let's keep going. You know, when you go throughout these different scriptures, even in the New Testament, you know, it keeps reiterating points predicated and based upon the Old Testament, the law. That's why, matter of fact, what I'll get it now, John, let the brother go ahead, but it speaks about in John how he wrote no new thing onto them, but basically the old.
John 2.
John 2, yeah.
John, get that, if you go ahead.
Okay, this is James 2, and I'm gonna start at 8, and it says, "And if ye fulfill the royal law according to the scriptures, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thy love thyself, ye do well. But if ye have respect to persons, ye shall commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors."
And what book is that?
This is James.
Yeah, so in the book of James, he's still pulling out points of sin. So why would James speak about sin if the law didn't exist?
Right.
Because sin was still living and thriving in the world, and he was keeping the Israelites from the you know, basically the borders of sin. Because what it says in also in James, where when lust conceiveth to bring forth sin, and sin death. So transgressions of the law is death. The wages of sin is death. And the men of the Lord, they always reiterated, like I said, points based upon the law.
That's why the scriptures say, whoever died being innocent.
Right.
Because as the brother just said, the wages of sin is death. So therefore, sin bring about death. If that was the case, then that's what made Yahushua so perfect, was he actually did commit no sins and still was sacrificed. Although we know through extrapolating through the scriptures, through the Holy Spirit, that he did commit sins in previous lives. But the point of what made Yahushua so perfect was in that life and in that space, he committed no sins, and he still took death on. You know? I'm gonna read on. It says, verse 10. This is James 2 and 10. "For whosoever keep the whole law, and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. For he that said, do not commit adultery, say also, do not kill. Now, if thou commit no adultery, yet if thou kill, thou art become a transgressor of the law."
Yep, which is basically, in American terms, hey, you could commit armed robbery or you could commit a murder, but on your rap sheet, you're gonna have what you're gonna have in common: a felony, which is basically the same thing. If you don't commit adultery but you commit murder, you're still a transgressor of the law. And in American time, the flies bugging out, man. You know, but in America now, what do? They put a felony on your report card or a misdemeanor.
A background check.
Yep, a background check. And in the background check, if the felony come up, it don't tell you exactly. You know,
say you're a felon.
You just say you're a
convicted felon,
and because you went against the law, regardless of whatever the act was, you're still a transgressor of that particular code.
And that goes. You take that to the grave.
Yep.
You know, that don't get omitted. You know.
Yep.
And even with James, what he said too, that was an act of hypocrisy. When you're telling somebody don't murder, don't steal and kill, and you're doing the same things. That's why it tells you that in Romans, the 2nd chapter. Now, we're not telling individuals don't do things that we actually do, because that is a form of hypocrisy. We're telling Jake, 2/3 of our people, or really the nation of Israel, which we're looking to wake up to 1/3, the whole nation. But we know that, of course, the dividing line, 2/3 and 1/3. But we telling Jake to keep the law to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
And where we fall short, because at the end of the day, like he said, if you break one law, you're guilty of all. Are we all guilty of, according to the law? Of course.
Yeah.
We break the law too. That's why the grace, the spirit of grace is came in.
I could raise that on that point. Yeah, basically the fact that we need grace. Because if the Lord was to, why I just read Psalms 130 and 3. If thou, Lord, shouldest mark iniquities, O Lord, who shall stand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if the Lord was the judge based off iniquities, man, all of us would be through, man. You know, sins from our past lives, sins in this life. That's why that grace and mercy had to come in to overlap that, man. Yep. Cover it up.
So it's just like when you in school, you know, a professor, he knows that all his kids just failed. So what does he give? A learning curve or a grading curve.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, well, based upon everybody's score, I'm gonna add this amount of points to up it up. So maybe if you got maybe if you were a person that was a D, now you got a C.
Right.
But if you were a B student, now you got an A. So it's it's a curve. So that's what it was for us, because if we didn't have that curve given to us through Spirit, that mercy, we'd all be through, man. And there'd be no flesh left to be saved.
That's right.
All right.
Wanna go back to that?
Yeah. If I can read this, and I'm reading a quick precept to bring the point. This is Malachi 4 and 5, right? It says, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord, which we understand that happened back then with John the Baptist, and this time with Abba Bibbies.
Yeah.
It says, you know,
it wasn't like go back to this nigga Cat Malone. They talking about John the Baptist had the spirit of Elijah on him.
Right.
Nigga, no, bro.
Right.
He was Elijah coming back.
He was
Right.
him.
You know?
And guess what? He had the same spirit back on him again.
That's right.
Okay. Verse 6, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with the curse. Right? So he said that he's going to turn the children back to the fathers, right? And really, you know, being the children of Israel, really the sons of Israel. So I'm going to read this quick precept, and this is Proverbs 3:1. It says, my son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. Mm-hmm. So what was the purpose of these particular prophecies coming to the sons and children of Israel in this day and age, in this time, for us to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments that we forgot, that we don't forget? Okay, let me read one more precept, and the brothers got it. This,
if I may add real quick, that's why the Lord said He's going to stir up our minds with, with remembrance, bringing us back to the old ways. That's right. Because for a long time, our people had just been completely disregarding what the Lord set up, man. Say what the Lord has told us that we read in that Deuteronomy chapter 4, man. That's why our people are a bunch of, it's looked at as the scum of the earth.
Yeah, the scriptures say, seek the old paths of our forefathers. If they're talking about a cut through a city, a shortcut, a pathway. What is it that we're supposed to seek from our forefathers? Is it a shortcut to the grocery store?
Right.
No, it's talking about the law. That's the only. That's what we knew from our forefathers.
Yep. The
law, how they carried themselves. Faith. That's the old path that we have to follow, and we have the records. So that's what we must exude in these times to the best of our ability. Now, is it a green light because technically we're not under the law? So is there a green light, to not keep it? No. Okay.
Say that in what's that? Say it in Galatians. You remember the chapter? It says is how shot the midst of sin. It says no.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like you say, even though we're not technically under the law,
does that mean you can shave your beard? Vocab Malone? Does that mean you can eat shrimp and pork just because we technically not under the law? Do you purposely break those laws? Absolutely not. And can the Lord judge you still according to breaches of the law? Absolutely. You know why the Lord will judge you? Because if you breach a law? because you have no faith.
Mm.
If you have faith, the Lord will pardon you. But if you have no faith, the Lord will hold you accountable to that law. And that's what he did with the wicked Sadducees and Pharisees.
He'll give you grace to get it right to keep the law.
Yep.
Because technically, because when you go in the book of Baruch, the 4th chapter, it says that this is the book of the law which endures forever.
Yep.
Are we under the law? Yes. But we have a grace period through Yahweh Shai to get it right in order to keep it the right way. And ultimately, the Lord said, look, I'm just going to put it in your hearts.
Yep.
Okay? But through Yahweh Shai, we have this opportunity to do the right thing.
Yep. A lot of you just hate the law, man.
Right. You hate doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say they loathe my law.
Yeah.
And a lot of you just hate the law, man.
Yep.
Just like, niggas hate American law.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They want to be law-abiding citizens.
Right.
Yeah, just like niggas hate American law, Edomites hate the righteous.
Anarchists.
Right.
They're anarchists.
Stiff neck, Yeah, I got a quick precept real quick.
And this was Malachi 3:16. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened, and he listened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord and that thought upon his name, and they shall be mine with the Lord of hosts in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them. Why? Because we was going to start doing the right thing, keeping the law, doing what we're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. As a man spared his own son that serveth him, which is why he resurrected Yahweh. He spared his own son.
Yeah, and the key word in that verse is it said they will remember.
Mm-hmm.
The word remember, is back, and member. You get your members back. The law is basically a form of clothing you, man.
It's a part of it.
It's a part of you. And even the law is based on, truthfully speaking, high science, man.
Oh, yeah.
Jake talk shit about the law, not knowing that really that's the science of your spirit. It's a reason why the Lord tells you don't eat pork, because your body physiological makeup is not designed yet to eat pork, man.
Right. To process it.
To process it. It's the reason why it's a land Sabbath. It's not just a little, I don't want you to use that land no more. Everything is behind a more spiritual reason. If you're spiritual enough to understand it, it's the reason why you're not supposed to commit adultery.
Yep, you can't put a PlayStation disc in an Xbox.
That's
you
right.
Don't process it.
That's right.
That's right.
You can't put an Xbox disc into a PlayStation because the actual machine does not process that particular information. And that's the same thing with, that's why we have laws, because the Lord knows that our body was not designed to process certain things.
Right.
Now, there are fish in the ocean that can process shrimp and crab and lobster. And, there's animals that can process snakes and shit like that. We can't.
Right.
We can't do such. So the Lord had a law in place to tell us the things that our body can process and the things that our bodies cannot process.
Right.
If I may say, and to Vocab and whoever else, hey, listen. Again, Psalms 1 was at 139 that the Lord gave Jacob the laws.
Yep.
So again, for you other heathens, be our guests. You can until the kingdom comes. Hey, eat your shark,
eat it away.
Eat your snails, eat your squid, eat your snakes, eat the pork, eat it, because the Lord didn't give you those laws because you were programmed to do so differently. That's why Moab can eat raw frogs and continue on. Your ass eat some frogs, your ass gonna be in the ER somewhere. You're gonna be throwing up your whole stomach. So again, don't be mad at us because the laws were given to us as a people and we decide to exercise them to the best of our ability. You heathens, do what you please. Worship your idols. Eat whatever you want to eat. Be the homos that you are, because the scripture, the law tells us that too. That your grapes is not our grapes. You're from a different vine. You're of the vine of Sodom.
Yep.
That's in our law. We already know that you aren't like us. So again, it's okay. It's okay. Don't be mad at us for doing what we're doing.
Right. This our thing.
This our thing, baby.
That's right. I got something real quick. You got a little bit more comment.
Yeah, it's one more verse. Malachi 4:18. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked.
And how do you discern through the righteous and the wicked? It has to be some type of measuring stick.
Mm-hmm.
The measuring stick is the law.
Right.
And when Moses actually received the 613, he judged Israel according to it.
Mm-hmm.
He seen he discerned. What's the word? Discern is to take out the circle. He's seen through capable understanding based upon the law that Israel was going off, man.
Yep.
And he judged them according to that. And the Most High always judge men according to the law. If the law didn't exist, why is still judgment even on the earth?
Right.
If there's no more law, the people shouldn't be getting put to death.
That's right.
It says, has any perished without being innocent?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of rule gotta be put in place?
For you to be innocent, or held guilty, accountable, it has to be according to a particular standard.
Yeah, there has to be a breach of a requirement that's justified. That's justifiable by death. That's the only reason that there still has to be death in the earth. It's because people are going against the ways of the Heavenly Father.
Right.
Other than that, everybody will just live forever. If we could do whatever we wanted to do, we'd live forever.
You're
That's the point. You're not held accountable.
If the wages of sin is death, then why are people still dying?
Right.
If there's no sin is done away with, if the law is done away with.
Right.
That doesn't even add up.
Right.
Yeah.
I got something real quick. This is Romans 6:14. It says, "For sin shall not have dominion over you, for ye are not under the law, but under grace."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like we were saying prior to this, we're not under the law, but we keep the law as a form or indication of obedience.
Yep.
Because the scriptures say that the Lord would rather us to be obedient than to send up burnt offerings.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and you know that Yahweh Shema Shai, he loves burnt offerings. He loves the sweet savory smell. But he's telling us that obedience is better than that sweet savory smell.
Yeah.
And that's heavy. So we show a form of obedience to Yahweh Shema Shai by trying to keep his law to the best of our ability. So when the Sabbath day come in, what do you think brothers do? We chill to the best of our ability. Some brothers got to work. Well, that's where the grace comes in at, because you're under grace. You're under the clause. You're not under the technicality. You're under the clause. But you still have to uphold certain forms of the technicality that you can keep. And the Lord designed America for us to be able to keep some of them laws, man.
Yeah.
Okay, because we could have been living in a society where, hey, we couldn't keep any of the laws, but the Lord has it set up to where we still can grow beards. We still can, choose what we want to eat. There were times where we didn't choose what we wanted to eat.
Right.
So the Lord even still under grace has, certain scenarios where we still can be obedient.
Mm-hmm. If I can add to you too, before you continue what you said, that also goes to the topic of fearing the Lord too. There's a scripture that says that the fear of the Lord turneth away sin. So when the Sabbath come in, damn, I ain't about to do that, because you fear the Lord so much. How about some shot to jack me up if I do this, man?
Mm-hmm.
If I shave my beard, I know the Lord will do something to me. Yep. So your fear game got to be up, man. Mm-hmm. That's what these Christians are like. They don't have the fear of the Lord.
They ain't got the fear.
This guy here just wilding out, man.
Yep. Because they think they under grace, they can do whatever they want to do. No, because the Lord can still judge you according to the law if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
If your ass go out here and commit adultery, you can't use that we're not under the law excuse.
That's right.
The Lord's gonna judge you according to that. Why? Because you transgressed against the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai knowingly. And then you didn't have no faith. The only way grace is allotted unto us is through faith. Yep. That's why the scriptures say, by the grace are we saved through faith. Yeah. In Ephesians, the 2nd chapter. Right. So the Lord can only have grace on you if you're faithful. And if you're faithful, what are you going to do? You're going to be obedient to the law. Mm-hmm. Simple.
If I may. Now the book of Proverbs is considered one of the books of wisdom, right? Now this is Proverbs. This is Proverbs 6:20, and it says, "My son, keep thy father's commandment, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Bind them continually upon thine heart, and tie them about thy neck."
Continually. So it ain't just the Old Testament era, so to speak. Continually, man, mean keep doing it. Go ahead.
When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee.
It say lead thee. What it say? What's that? Proverbs 6.